Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to show you how to make a frost-proof condensate drain for a heated outbuilding. In our case, we're going to be hooking up to the condensate drain for the furnace, which is going to come down this wall. I'll show you that in just a second. And we have a dehumidifier, which you can hear running over there. Both of these will be running in the winter, and the drain we have, well, let me show you that real quick. That is the drain right there. This is all going to be eventually hooked up to a sink over there and a urinal. Well, that'll be over in this area somewhere, and that's going to be a whole nother issue. Right now it's hooked up to the dehumidifier, and that just puts out a drip 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 constantly, and that will not work in the winter. It's probably not dripping right now because I just turned the dehumidifier back on, but normally you have just a constant slow drip coming out of that, and in the winter time that would freeze solid. It would freeze and make a plug towards the end of the pipe, and then that would back up until it got underneath the building somewhere, and then the water wouldn't freeze, but eventually it would back up and come into the building way back there. If you're hooked up to a sewer, you don't have to worry about that. Or if you're hooked up to a septic system, like our house has, again, you wouldn't have to worry about it. But if your drain goes to open air, like this one does, then you gotta worry. The dehumidifier was not running last winter. If I did want to run it, I would have had to have emptied the bucket in the bottom. I wouldn't have been able to put it into the drain like that. And the furnace, for the last year and a half or so, 2 winters though, the drain has just been going down into this bucket right here. And we're not going to do that again this year. So now that we understand the problem, let me show you what I'm going to do to fix it. At the flue right here, there's a nipple, a 1/2 inch nipple, that gets very hot. So there, we're going to use this 100% silicone elbow that'll just have a hose clamp and be connected right there. And then at the other end of this is going to be tilted down a little bit. This is real nice and flexible. We're going to have a PEX fitting and another hose clamp on this side. And on the other side, we're going to have PEX. So the PEX will run over to the wall, and then we'll have a PEX elbow and about 6 inches of PEX that goes down into a standpipe. And the standpipe is going to look something like this. It's going to have these saddles on it. It'll have 3. It'll be right in line with the flue pipe up there and just bracketed to the wall. And then that standpipe is just going to go inside of it. You'll be able to lift the standpipe out if you wanted to. And that'll allow, if something were to ever happen, you would be able to pour like hot water or something down in there, and you would never get a vapor lock or anything like that. So we have the standpipe will come down to a fitting. Well, actually, I'm still working on it. There's going to be a fitting in the middle that the dehumidifier is going to run into, and I have to find all the fittings for that. But the dehumidifier is going to be mounted on the wall on a shelf. I'm actually going to make a cabinet for it with a filter on one side, and then it's going to have a drain hose coming out that'll go right into the standpipe. And right above, wherever that comes in, I think I started drawing it, but yeah, not much there. Right above where that comes into the standpipe, I'm going to have a water sensor that will sense if the pipe is full. It won't sense if water is just draining down through it, but if the standpipe starts filling up, it's going to set off an alarm. So now we get to the bottom of this. We have the furnace flue and the dehumidifier draining into it. At the bottom, this is the size pipe right here. We'll have, is this the right size? Oh, I might have got the wrong fitting. Yeah, I need a fitting that either goes right into the pipe itself or onto the outside, but no big deal. I'll go pick that up when I pick up the rest of this stuff. But it's going to have a fitting at the bottom of it that has 1/2-inch NPT thread like this. So this would screw into the bottom of that and then have pecs coming off of it. And that would look something like this. The pecs would come off. I was going to put a T on it and have the dehumidifier come into it that way, but I think it's going to work a lot better if I have that dehumidifier up on a shelf and out of the way, and just have it come in and hit it, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet off the ground. So that's already changed. But anyways, at the bottom here, it's going to come through the pecs over to an elbow that goes through the wall. And that would be this. So I'm going to drill a hole through the grade beam, which is this wood right here. That has another grade beam on the outside, and it's, maybe 5 inches deep below the concrete there. Let me show you what that looks like in an area that's not insulated. This is what that looks like without the insulation and stuff. So it's got foam insulation coming up 4 inches, so it's up like about that high, and then regular insulation above that. I'm going to drill at an angle from right about there, and I want to go through the bottom of the grade beam, and I'll have to figure out what's the best angle for doing that, and it's going to be kind of hit and miss. So I'll be drilling through wood here, through the foam insulation, and then through wood right here. One thing I should mention before we start digging is the reason for the offset in the standpipe and the hole that goes through the wall is the steep angle that this PEX is going to go through. This is the wrong size fitting, but with this on the end of there, at that steep angle, the fitting would be pointing towards the wall, or it would be pointing away from the wall. Kind of hard to show that. That's the angle that it would be at. But if you go sideways with it, it's going to be directly in line with the wall, and we'll be able to run right from this fitting over to that fitting. Put a little bit of a drop in it, and bada bing, bada boom, water will go right through it. All right, the standpipe is going to run right here. So if we go over one more set, or roughly, this is about where we want our hole. I don't want to get too close to the concrete here. This is for the base for the mini split. We're going to have lines coming down here, and then they'll swoop over to the entrance on the compressor unit there. So yeah, it can go either place. It can go either right here or a little farther over. All right, I'm going to go grab some tools and start digging. Once I get the hole dug, I'll get back with you and I'll explain what I'm doing from there on. Brief pause to show you something. This layer of gravel on top here, about 6 inches thick, that's from when we built this building. Then below that, we have some darker gravel. That stuff right there. I think it's darker just because it's stained from being underground. But that gravel is from the old platform we used to have here. And by platform, I just mean a level area. We used to have our greenhouse and a couple other things out here. It wasn't all that big, but this stuff is about 2 years old. This would be 13 years old, coming up on 14 years old. And that is probably from one of the flags from building the building. Interesting archaeology. More archaeology. This is definitely the gravel that we put down, but we must have put it down over clay. I don't know, maybe some of this is the old platform and then the gravel we put down on top of it. And then this is virgin ground. We're right at the edge of where the hill used to be, right at where it drops off. This was built up out here. And this gravel is, it's probably 8 inches deep. I think that's natural. This stuff down here is fracking sand. We hit a sand pocket, and then there's clay right below that. That's just the way the land is around here. Right below that clay, we're probably going to start hitting boulders, but we're at a good place right now. What I think I'm going to do is clear this out a bit. I'll put some of the fracking sand mixed with a cleaner gravel just at the bottom there, and then I'll probably drill some holes in the side of my bucket. I still have to wrap the bucket in landscaping fabric, but I'm not going to have to put landscaping fabric down in the hole. I'll just put this sand right back in and then gravel on top of it. This will drain perfectly, and the bucket that I have in there as the temporary drain, I've never had that overflow. So with this being empty, I don't think it's ever going to get to a point where it can't sink into the ground faster than it's coming in. Rain gets into this, and that's why most of the water gets in that bucket to start. And I really don't want to do anything different with this. Yeah, that's going to work fine. I'm going to go get my little hand spade and dig out a little bit under there, and then dig this a little bit better. And then we'll get the bucket in there, get everything filled to the top of the bucket. Then I have to remove a nice chunk just of the top gravel, and we'll put the foam in there. And then we'll put foam going underneath the building, all the way up to the bottom of the grade beam, and that should do it. Well, like I said, where we cut the foam to go around the pecs, that's going to be spray foamed, yada yada yada. Yeah, I think I'll just put that stuff right back where it came from, and it won't look like we did anything here. All right, not sure you're going to be able to see that or not, but I have a plumb bob connected to the flue. Put a little line here. I'm going to have to move some of this stuff out of the way, but we're going to want to go about 26 inches over, so that's going to be right in this area somewhere. We have a post right here and a mini split on the other side, so that's pretty much the only place we can go. So that drain is going to have to end right about here somewhere. I'll figure out what the pitch needs to be. I want at least a 5-degree pitch between here and here, which isn't much. It's probably going to be 1/2 inch at the most. Okay, let's get that measured out, and this is going to be the difficult part, drilling this hole. Okay, I'm going to get the hole started. This is, what the heck is that called? It's a speed bore bit, but it's made for hitting nails. I'm going to get this started, and then I'm going to use an extension on it. It's going to be hard to start this because this is such an aggressive bit, and I need to tip it up, and it wants to just keep plowing right in. All right, I'm at the foam, so now I'll put the extension on this, and we'll try to drill all the way through. Hopefully this does not fail somehow. My bit came off. The hole was kind of clogged up with the foam. You can see the XPS styrofoam chips here. The rest of them just like pushed to the side inside the wall there. Yeah, this is going to be perfect. I found a different bucket that's missing its handles. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is just wrap the bottom with the landscape fabric. I just want to keep the bucket from filling up with stuff. So I'll wrap the bottom. Now actually, when I do hydrants, when I do the yard hydrants, I put a hole in here and I wrap the entire thing in landscape fabric and then zip tie it to the shaft of the hydrant. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do here too. So I'm gonna dig this hole a little better to fit where this is. And actually I can just, yeah, I'm just gonna do that. This is some really tough stuff, this PEX. So yeah, those are the two fabrics I have. This stuff is insanely heavy duty. It's harder to work with, but it's plenty big enough to get this wrapped. That other stuff is your average garden variety of landscape fabric, and I would have to piece that together. So what I think I'm going to do is just pull this out, cut a piece big enough out of the big roll there, and we'll get this wrapped up. Okay, I went back to the original plan. When I wrap these entire things, it's with a much thinner cloth like that, but it's actually bigger than that. This really heavy duty landscaping fabric, it's just way too thick for that. This is going to work out just fine. Now, I taped it up with Gorilla waterproof tape. We taped up our greenhouse with this stuff, and it lasted longer than the greenhouse. But it really doesn't matter. Once this is backfilled and it has sand packed up tight against the sides and the top, even if the tape were to fail, this stuff is just going to sit there. And I don't really think it's going to fill up with sand anyways. But if any of that stuff happens, it'll be long after I'm gone. Okay, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not, but the hole is right there. So I'll get this in the hole, put the tube through it into the hole, and then we'll put a few zip ties on this, weight it down a little bit, and backfill the hole. This is going to work out beautifully. Now, gotta go find my tightening tool. Okay, now gotta fit some foam. Okay, a little bit of cleaning up on the edges of the trench. Okay, let me show you what I got so far. I have a pretty much level area on top of the sump, and I have this 1.5 inch piece of XPS cut to fit the hole, and I'm working on this one right now. This is 2 inch, and how you build a frost protected foundation is you have 2 inches of foam running out from the building. You actually have foam going down, but this is going to be our foam going down. I'm going to add foam until we get up to the grade beam, and then I'm going to fill it in with spray foam. So we're going to have continuous insulation all the way out to here. What that does is traps the Earth's heat. The Earth's heat rises, and in the winter, the freezing penetrates. And if you look on the website, they've done studies where just by plowing the road, the frost gets way farther down into the earth because you've removed the insulation. Just a couple inches of snow on the ground slows the frost penetration down dramatically. And with a frost protection like this, you have way more than that. This is never going to freeze. I believe even if the building is unheated, this isn't going to freeze, but with it unheated, there's not going to be anything coming down into this drain. So this is going to work perfect, and it'll work basically forever. I do not want the insulation going on the far side of this pipe. That notch that I cut in it right there, that's going to stay there, and that's going to stay open because the building is going to emit heat. And again, the heat rising from the ground is going to hit this insulation and work its way to the sides, and that'll keep that from freezing. It's going to work. All right, let me finish fitting this. And oh yeah, I backfilled this. This is flush with gravel as well, and then I'm going to fit this as good as possible, and we are nearly done with this. Getting the last little bits in here. I filled that entire cavity. Well, I'm not quite done yet, but I'm filling that entire cavity back there except for right behind the pipe there. Got a little angled notch in this, and this is going to fit up tight against that. And then I decided I was going to use the spray foam, but I'm going to use rock wool. Rock wool doesn't lose its insulating value if it gets wet or compressed. So I can pack that interior area and right in here, and this is going to be insulated to the max. So let me finish up with the rock wool and we'll wrap this up. We're going to do the interior part in a separate video. I probably told you that already. This has already taken a few days. I was missing a few things, so I had to get those before I could restart. But like I said, the interior part is going to be in a separate video. I don't have all the parts for that either, but it'll be coming soon. Bada bing, bada boom. We are done. Except for a little bit of a color difference, you would not be able to even tell this is here. And after a couple rains, there won't be a color difference either. Yeah, that's real nice. It will feel a touch spongy in this area until this gets all settled in. And then if it sinks down a bit, I'll grab a little bit more gravel and put it on top of here. But it's not very spongy right now. You're going to get a little bit of sponge due to the foam being under there no matter what. But that is definitely not a problem. Okay, let's go on the inside. I'll show you what that looks like and we'll wrap this up. And this is what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to seal this up in a little bit, and when I get the panel on here, the panel is going to go down to here. So whatever I do for the sealing will have to be flush. And then we're going to cut like an oversized notch in the panel and slip the panel over the top of this. And like I was trying to explain before, that 90-degree elbow is just going to go straight this way, and then we're just going to tilt it upwards slightly until it gets to the standpipe, which will be right where that plumb bob is. Yeah, this is going to be really nice. And again, the dehumidifier is going to be mounted on a shelf, and it's going to have like a dust-proof enclosure, and that's going to run into a Y like that. This is going to have an adapter that fits the hose that comes off of there, so that will go right into here, and all of our condensate will make it safely outside in the winter without things freezing up. So watch for the video that should be coming up within the next 2 weeks. I think it might take 2 weeks before I can get all the parts for the sump and all that, but it will be coming up soon. Until then, we're going to be wiring some outlets over on our new sub panel. Oh, that video for this didn't even come out yet. Well, you'll see a video coming out soon about installing this. That might be on Trapdoor though. I get confused between the two channels. But we're going to be mounting the interior unit. Well, we're going to be mounting the entire system and setting it up. We got to drill through the wall, hook up the electricity over to the sub panel, yada yada yada. That's going to be pretty interesting as well. So if you want to see any of those videos, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.